JUlius Erving wasn't good enough to start for his high school basketball team until his senior season. Then, after averaging 27 points and 20 rebounds in his junior year at the University of Massachusetts, he unleashed his unsung above-the-rim theatrics on the professional ranks. Over the next 16 seasons, the Doctor's playground game electrified both black and white audiences, while his pride, intelligence, and cool made him a mythic figure.
A lot of people say he got game, but here in the Rucker, you have to prove that you have game.
Every move was your manhood.
Forget the NBA. Rucker was the thing.
Schooled players in Harlem's most famous summer tournament known as the Rucker.
The image was that New York City has all the ball players and Long Island has the also-rans. So I had to prove myself every time I stepped on the court.
He was like a jewel that was sitting there, raw talent.
The man never made a layup. Everything was a tomahawk dunk. They call him the Surgeon General because not only did he block shots, he operated on them.
Go through the middle, make the ball disappear, switch hands, do something magical with it. The guy who was announcing the games, he kept calling me a lot of different nicknames, like Houdini and Little Hawk, all kinds of stuff. So he don't call me anything. You know, he just call me the Doctor. People all up on the fences are like, Doctor, 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 you know. And that's empowering.
At the University of Massachusetts, JUlius was disempowered by the NCAA, since his most intimidating weapon, the dunk, was prohibited. When he signed with the Virginia Squires of the fledgling ABA, only those who had seen him play unchained at the Rucker knew what he could deliver.
We went to Richmond for the rookie camp, and all of a sudden we see this guy. I can see him in slow motion going up, going up, going up, going up, going up, going up, catching the ball almost 2 feet over the basket and with one hand, slamming it back down through.
JUlius Erving drove to the hoop. You know, it was like the Red Sea opening up. You know, guys wouldn't touch him. It was too much respect.
JUlius was seen as a messiah to the failing ABA. His flamboyant style stimulated the gait and raised the quality of play, but it couldn't cool the rowdyism at the games.
The ABA was wilder than you think it was. It was teams waiting in the lobby of a road hotel because the manager wouldn't let them check in since the team hadn't paid their bill from the last time they were in that city.
Guys carrying guns to the game, guys in fist fights in their own locker room. I mean, that was a league of real guys on the edge.
JUlius Erving was in a class of his own. I mean, he wasn't a wild guy at all. His demeanor was totally different than a lot of guys in the ABA.
He really started to make the entire country take a look at what was going on in the ABA.
He would leave you eyeing and goo-goo guying and everything else. I mean, you didn't know what he was going to do.
Dr. J was the most exciting and entertaining and electric player I ever saw.
JUlius Erving was really the first ever to make it a high wire act.
He had the ability to get in the air and create, you know, these moves that we've never seen before.
I take my hands and I dip them in the paint and bam, you know, I begin to create. But, you know, the hands are just an extension of my mind. But if you got a great mind and you got great hands too, pretty dynamite combination.
The climate of the country at the time when Dr. J was playing was the challenge. We're just coming off of the revolution, coming into the 70s, and it's to challenge authority, it's to challenge the game, it's to challenge the limits of your ability.
His ABA Dr. J was the rebel Dr. J. This was the guy with the huge afro and the goatee who looked like a Black Panther. He was a symbol of this rebel kind of ball, this new ball,
funk ball.
We looked up to the drug dealers and the pimps and the pushers around the neighborhood that were, you know, making all of the money and driving the fancy cars. And here comes Dr. J. He was a basketball star that was not only just a basketball star, he was an icon, an image to the black community and for kids like myself.
Dr. J had sneakers before anybody had their name on sneakers. I mean, it was everything to wear a pair of Dr. J's.
Dr. J was the marquee guy when I was growing up. Every little kid wanted to be Dr. J.
You don't know how many of us as youngsters just try to get our afro out and everything, so we ran down court to kind of go back like Dr. J. You know?
Everybody wanted an afro. I had a little afro, too. I had a TWA, a teeny-weeny afro. Doc had the big afro, man, and he always patted it down, and Doc, he had his own style.
When Erving was traded to the New York Nets in 1973, his image exploded coast to coast. Suddenly, he was the model for men's fashion, a highly effective advertising persona, and the subject of hip-hop lyrics.
Tell me, were you in the joint the night Walt scored 100? Oh, when Dr. J shook the whole damn team with moves that came right out of a dream.
Dr. J is one of the first athletes who wasn't a boxer. I remember being a sex symbol.
Yeah, all the girls would be like, oh, that's Dr. J. Oh, Doc just touched me.
He was one of the first black males in the culture where white fathers said to their children, I'd like you to be like JUlius Erving.
America may have loved the doctor's cool, revolutionary image, but his friends weren't buying it.
Doc was just a square, man. We wanted to know where the women was at. Not JUlius Erving. He was ready to eat and go up in his room.
The mild-mannered reporter, suit and tie guy, and, you know, no curse words. He'd probably say, I would say damn, and he would say darn. I'd say, darn? No one knew what made this man tick. You know, I mean, he would smile a little. He would be serious a little. No, he'd be serious more than he'd smile. It was tough to get inside.
When other guys go in there, hey, I'm in the house. Doc was altogether different. He had such an image to keep up for the kids, for the public, for the media, the whole deal.
Do you like the name?
Oh, yeah, I love it. I think the kids really love it, though, because JUlius Erving might be a difficult name for them to pronounce. And Dr. J is very catchy, and they don't often forget it. I definitely didn't want to be Dr. J off the court. It's just not in my makeup. It's not my style.
Dr. J would soon have to change his style to fit a new role on another stage.
Elko, if you're not asking for it, you're asking for it. Also brought to you by Burger King. If you ask us, it just tastes better. By Budweiser. Now is the perfect time to enjoy a brewery fresh Budweiser. And by MasterCard. There are some things money can't buy. For everything else, there's MasterCard.
In 5 seasons, the doctor earned 3 scoring titles, 3 MVPs, and won 2 league championships. The operation was a success, but the patient, the ABA, was near death. Erving was ready to take his practice uptown.
I think Dr. J legitimized flamboyance. No longer could the NBA say, oh, this is just a bunch of street guys with their silly red, white, and blue ball and their three-point shot. Hey, deal with it. This is Dr. J. You got anybody better?
Have you had basketball fulfillment within yourself in the ABA?
There's nothing I like better than to have played 5 in the ABA and then 5 in a merged or combined league, which could be called the NBA if that's what they want to call it.
The doctor would get his wish in 1976 when the ABA was swallowed by the NBA and Erving was sold to the 76ers. It was instant showtime in Philly.
From the University of Massachusetts, number 6, JUlius Erving.
The first time everybody saw his quiver full of dunks, I mean, it was electrifying. It was almost like he had been dipped in day-glow orange paint.
Lifting Philly into the NBA Finals in his very first season, Doc led his counterculture squad against Bill Walton's Trailblazers.
You have a very beautifully balanced Portland team that plays very traditional basketball.
versus the craziest NBA team of all time, maybe. Even though there were white players on the Sixers, there was this great white hope thing about Portland versus the evil, disrespectful kind of ball that the 76ers played.
Here's McGinnis. Lucas comes out. McGinnis for the tie. It's off. O'Neill's there. It's over.
Big win for Portland and a huge disappointment for us.
We're playing our team game against a collection of great individual players, and the team game won.
People who really disliked the kind of ball he played and what he seemed to represent to a lot of the purists said, oh, see, you can't play that ball and win at this level.
After winning the first 2 games, Philly then proceeded to lose the next 4. 76er management responded by promising the city NBA heaven and fingered Dr. J as the man who would get them there.
The pressure was really on, and Julius liked to take the pressure and put it right on his shoulders.
His afro got smaller, the facial hair got less and less, and while he could still dunk, he became a more rounded ball player.
Julius probably gave up some of his game, probably sacrificed some of his own individuality, you know, to make the team work.
So he really went through this personal evolution from the more rebellious, freaky 70s period to a more smoothed out period in the 80s where he was much more a calm spokesperson type.
Dr. Chapstick.
Dr. J has changed his nickname to Dr. Chapstick.
Julius was the first mass consumption pro basketball player for a lot of us. At that time, you did not have great celebrity endorsers who were black.
This is something that he very consciously went after. I mean, it was a very clear vision of taking the excesses of who I was and stripping those down or smoothing those out to become something acceptable to America.
If he had changed himself for America, the doctor was in serious transition on the court as well.
I would say to him, Julius, what the hell are you doing? You know, why are you so inactive? Why are you so passive?
That disappointment went on for so many years where we owe you one, that it was like, you know, you'd sometimes be embarrassed to go out the door.
In the 1980 finals against LA, Erving tried to win it all by himself, pushing his game to its outer limits.
Dr. J got the greatest move I've ever seen. We came down the right side, we cut him off.
And when he went behind the basket, I thought that he surely was going to have to pass it.
This guy floats all the way to the other side of the basket.
Seemingly staying up in midair like a Saturn rocket.
He shoots it and makes it catch and spun against the glass and went in. And we're sitting there like...
But Dr. J couldn't do it alone. The Lakers won the series behind Magic Johnson's 42 points in Game 6. Magic made it look easy. As for the doctor, nothing but broken promises.
People felt they'd been sold a bill of goods, and they were waiting. 78 comes, they don't win. 79, they don't win. 80, they get to the finals, they lose. 81, they're up 3-1 in Boston, and lose. So now it's 82, they lose again in 6. We're 6 years removed from the championship that says we owe you one.
Now age 32 and frustrated, Dr. J was on the verge of panic. Time was running out.
We had been to the finals. We had been awfully close for several years. But one thing we were always missing was a real inside presence.
The 76ers late this afternoon concluded negotiations with the Houston Ball Club to acquire the services of center Moses Malone. Moses is now a 76er.
The combination would prove to be devastating. After breezing through the regular season, the 76ers faced their old rivals, the Lakers, for the 1983 NBA title.
When they get Moses Malone and they win 65 games and they steamroller through the NBA, they damn well better win that championship.
The man who may want it more than anyone else in this forum, JUlius Erving, has made the steal and the big basket.
Congratulate the world champion Philadelphia 76ers. Mo Cheeks goes the distance, slam dunk. The game is over.
It was such a feeling that you couldn't describe because we had wanted it so bad that when it finally came, you just couldn't explain it.
The parade down Broad Street, the fervor in the city of Philadelphia, you know, is still something that makes me tingle. And I think there was just a sense of rejoicing that Julius was finally a world champion.
I could not win the title without Doc. See, there are people who don't understand. The 76ers
were always Dr. J team. It was never Moses Malone team.
What can I tell you? It was sweeter than honey. I played in 6 championship series between the 2 leagues, was victorious in 3 and defeated in 3. I don't feel any shortcomings because of the years when we didn't win. To some people, makes all the difference in the world. To me, I'd probably be the same person that I am right now.
1983 would be Erving's only title in the NBA. A new era was approaching, and the Doc, at age 33, would have to adjust.
I walked in that locker room the first day. I was on cloud 9. But also, I couldn't decide, should I call him Dr. J, Mr. Erving, or what? And now he made it easy for me. He came up to me the first day and said, hey, I'm Doc. And that was it.
By the mid-'80s, a new level of talent forced Erving to step out of the spotlight. The transition challenged the Doctor's pride.
Larry wasn't taunting me. Larry was complaining to the refs, and I was complaining to the refs. And the next time down the court, it got in my face.
I was up 38-6. That's how I summarize it. I don't want to get into the details, but I wasn't happy with the way things were going on.
And I felt like he was going to hit me, you know. So my hands went up and his went up, and next thing I know, we had each other's necks. I felt as though I did something that was uncharacteristic for me, got caught up in the moment.
Our youngest son brought this picture of Julius and Larry having a fight. He was proud of it. And Julius saw it. He said, take that down. He said, I never want to see you with anything like that again.
The next time that Boston came to the Spectrum, Julius walked out to center court, tapped Larry Bird on the shoulder, and made it a point to clear the air right then and there.
In a word, Julius was a gentleman. Growing up in the working-class suburb of Roosevelt, Long Island, his usually contained personality found expression on the basketball court.
I remember the first time I actually met him, which was on the basketball court. And I remember thinking, boy, this is a weird kid. He had on 1 black sneaker, 1 white sneaker. He knew he was good. He knew he was better than everybody around him. But he didn't come in talking a lot of junk. But on the court, that arrogance came out.
Dr. J's court personality was developed during a childhood filled with no small measure of deprivation and misfortune. His parents were divorced when he was 3. He barely knew his father.
Julius is who he is because of his mother and because of the way she raised him.
His mother was a very strong influence, and she certainly kept a strong hand on all of her children. He certainly accepted every responsibility willingly. He just did the right thing and did the right thing all the time.
I'll say sometimes to Julius, I can't understand. Why does this person have this and this and this, and we don't have this? And he would say, well, because Turk, I pay my taxes and I do the things the right way, and that's it.
When Julius left to play basketball at the University of Massachusetts, his presence was missed at home, especially by his younger brother, Marvin.
They came up in February, my mom, my sister, my brother, and they came up for my birthday.
The crowd serenaded Julius because it was his birthday, and Marvin just he just enjoyed himself so much.
During the visit, my brother complained about joints, pain in his joints.
Marvin was afflicted with lupus. He would be in and out of hospitals for the next 3 months.
We got a call one night saying that Julius had better head home because Marvin may not make it through the night.
Before Erving reached home, his 16-year-old brother had died.
Julius absolutely was a different person after his brother passed away.
The thing I thought most about was having a father who died and having a brother who died. You know, it's 3 males in my immediate family, and 2 of them are gone. And I can't waste my life.
When we return, Julius Erving will be measured by his peers as a player and a man.
Sports Century's 50 Greatest Athletes is presented by AC Delco Automotive Parts. AC Delco, if you're not asking for it, you're asking for it. Also brought to you by Nike. by Lincoln Financial Group, clear solutions in a complex world, and by 1-800-COLLECT, the easy way to save.
I've just notified the 76ers that I intend for this to be my last year in the NBA.
I call Dr. J the Thomas Edison of basketball because he invented so much. He took a game which had been played on the schoolyard level in New York and other places, and he brought it to the national stage in a way it hadn't been done before.
Certain guys are just synonymous with their sport, and Dr. J built the sport.
We talk a lot about Jordan and his ability to twist and contort and manufacture in midair, but it's all Dr. J did.
Julius would work on these moves, and they were wonderful and soaring and elegant and had an improvisational jazz quality to them.
There were definitely things that I did that nobody had done on a basketball court, and that to me was innovation. Innovation needs to be especially recognized. You watch somebody do something that nobody's ever done, you're going to remember it the rest of your life.
Of all the things that we will remember Julius for, even when he was putting the nails in our coffin, we had to admire this man's athletic ability, and above and beyond all of that, the man's class.
When they come to write the history of the great cultural impact of basketball on our lives, and it does affect everything from the game itself to the way we dress, the kind of heroes that we have. Dr. J was certainly a founding father of the modern school of basketball.
He was a good basketball player, but he was a better person off the court, and that's something that's still with me. He was such a classy individual. He was a class act.
The way he conducted himself as an athlete, as a human being, as a father, as a husband. There's an endless stream of people who have tried to fit the mold that Dr. J first started.
You can sense that there is a decency about this guy and a dignity about this guy that's not a press agent's creation. It's who he is. And it was true growing up on Long Island. It was true at Massachusetts. It was true with the Virginia Squires. It was true with the Philadelphia 76ers, and it'll be true until the day he dies.
Of the 3 players in pro basketball history to score at least 30,000 points, the Doctor is the only non-center in the group. In his prime, he was the most imitated and idolized player, leading the way for a new generation that would find fulfillment in Michael Jordan. He likened himself to a painter when he played. What the Doctor didn't mention was that while he painted, he changed the landscape of the game. We will see you next week when the 50 greatest athletes of the 20th century continues its countdown with number 42.
This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on to ESPN.com, a part of the Go Network. Go.com.